Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Crime Centric. This being a show I talk about crime dramas that I watch. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about Walker, Season 3, Episode 16. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. So in this episode, we finally, first and foremost, let's start off with the fact is it's been 2 weeks since the aftermath of the last episode, just like it's been like 2 weeks in real life. And Walker's kind of taken that time off. Obviously, he's gotten evaluated and he seems good after everything, but the doctors want him to kind of keep up with physical therapy. So we don't know where that fully leaves him work-wise and stuff. He needed to take the time off considering everything that went down. He needed to take a step back, take a beat, to spend time with the family. And this is something I kept bringing up before. Like, I know there's only 18 episodes, so there's only 2 more episodes after this. So I'm like, what does that mean storyline-wise? I can only assume we're, like, concluding the Gray Flag stuff, because even though Kevin's dead, you cut off the head of the snake, another's going to pop up. It's a large-scale enough organization that someone else is probably taking the reins or whatever. So that's why I feel like the last 2 episodes might kind of go in that direction, but we'll have to wait and see with some of the other plot points they set up this episode, because this was kind of like an episode to kind of reset, kind of take a breather after everything that went down with Gray Flag. But we finally get answers to what Jerry's been up to. She's back and she wanted to introduce someone to Walker, and I was like, who is this going to be? I was like, no, I don't think it's going to be a secret daughter of Jerry's. Never did I think it's going to be a secret daughter of Hoyt's. And that whole situation, there's so many sad elements to it, because it's like, well, first and foremost, her and Walker, Sadie and Walker didn't get off on the best foot, because she was up there conning people out of money at the bar where they were going to be holding a charity event. So it's like not the best, but then it's also like, oh wow, you're so much like your dad. It's crazy, because your dad was quite the con man that he was. So it's like, yeah, I mean, especially because we now know, because of Walker independence, man, that con man, that thief blood runs, that criminal blood kind of runs deep. It's kind of part of that family bloodline to some extent, and I think that ends up being an interesting conversation of nature versus nurture, and how much does nurture really play a role in it versus nature. Like, I mean, it does seem like, more so nature than nurture, but it's like how much of it's just like innately in them, and how much of it, because it's just like, it seems like that bloodline, every time they're kind of backed into a corner, is kind of when that criminal side kind of comes out. So it's just an interesting thing. Jerry's a lot more accepting of Sadie. To be fair, she's had a lot longer to process this than Walker has, but Cordell's kind of a little about it, simply because he thinks back on his times with Hoyt. It's like, Hoyt, if I was tougher on him, maybe if I wasn't always in best friend mode, maybe I could have steered him in the right direction and pulled him off the path that he was on. And so there's a little bit of that with Sadie, that he wants to, I want to be sterner with her, because I don't want to let my guard down, because I let my guard down around Hoyt, and that's what led to things kind of playing out the way they did. But I mean, a sad confluence of events. We learn that Jerry actually met Sadie's mom a while back, and because at the time, Sadie was a little bit older, she was asking questions about her father, and so Sadie's mom knew that, the sidestep is where he would be a lot of times. So I guess either he just didn't see her at all, or maybe it had been so long that he hadn't recognized her. But he walked right past Sadie's mom, and him and Jerry were having that conversation about, hey, he was a criminal, and that's what scared Sadie's mom off, to the point that she never reached back out to Hoyt, because it's like, I don't want my daughter around a criminal. And sadly, she ended up dying a couple months ago. So it's like, she had to have known about Hoyt's passing, but it's still a thing of, hey, he was a criminal. So, and it's also like, there's not much I can do about it now, telling my daughter about a father that, for one, was a criminal, but is also dead now. So she probably didn't really want to go down that route. But it's sad, because who knows maybe what things would have been, who Hoyt would have been, if he had known about Sadie earlier. And part of me wonders, does Jerry kind of take a deep, it didn't come up in this episode, but obviously Jerry has her complicated family circumstances, the Davidsons and stuff like that, her adopted father, and obviously learning the truth about her biological family and just everything that went down in that regard between her father and her mother. That I wonder, is that even more reason why she kind of took the leap? I mean, first and foremost, it's Hoyt's daughter, so it's like being able to keep, like, Hoyt meant a lot to them, and so it's like being able to keep a piece of him, reconnecting with some part of him that's still out there in the world, because like every bit of Hoyt felt like it was gone when he was gone, and now it's like there's a piece of him still out here with his daughter. So Jerry kind of, I think, saw that as a second chance, but I think it also comes from a place of, well, she wants to know more about her dad, and it's like, I understand that as someone who all of last season learned so much more about my family's circumstances. So, like I said, the episode didn't really lean into that, but I feel like that might be somewhere in the back of Jerry's mind of like her motivations, especially considering like, well, she found out her family wasn't the greatest. Like, obviously, like her adopted father, her biological mom being responsible for her biological dad's death. But it's that, once again, that complicated feeling that Jerry has her complicated feelings about it, but also like Walker's are even more complicated because he's torn between like, hey, the lawman and the best friend, and did I really do the best I could when it came to Hoyt on either side of things? Then, and he's almost trying to make up for it now because he's like saying like, hey, if you try and like steal from this charity, I'll kind of put all that on you, especially because Abby and Bonham ended up talking about Hoyt. And obviously, it's like, right, I would have hidden the really good bourbon away from him, but I would have been a lot kinder to Hoyt because he was always the one that had his biggest reservations about Hoyt. But it's like, I would have been a lot kinder because now, like, I live with so many regrets. So that's something Walker's also got to think about, too. And obviously this flashback's kind of showing us Hoyt back then too. Kind of one of his, I guess, him and Cordell used to get in trouble a lot, but this is one of the big instances of him getting in a lot of trouble, kind of setting him on his path. But essentially he ended up robbing a bank because Jerry was like, yo, talk to him, he's about to do something crazy. And Cordell was like, is this something I should be worried about? But his buddy was like, yeah, this is just something like you can't quite understand, and I don't want to get you involved because I don't want to have to lie to you, so let's just kind of, leave it at that. And he ended up getting caught robbing a bank, which obviously his ancestor, Hoyt Rollins, very, very similar circumstances. Almost the exact same circumstance in that regard, so I thought that was kind of interesting. I feel like that had to be done 100% on purpose too, but he ended up getting caught, and obviously Jerry was so disappointed in him. She was also upset with Walker because it's like, if you had talked to him when I told you to, could have prevented all this, and now he is a full-blown criminal. Once again, gotten in trouble here and there, but this is like some big, serious time trouble that sent him on his path. And even Cordell's like, I don't know if like you being softer on him and me being harder on him would have done anything to move him off his path. Like maybe it was just because for him, he was even saying at that point in time when Jerry was so disappointed in him, and Hoyt was like, right, he wants to change, but he keeps still making the same mistakes. And he's like, I keep getting these second chances, but eventually, who's to say I won't get any more, And for Cordell, it's like, maybe we could have never pulled him off that path. Maybe that was always just going to be the path he was on. But at the very least, we were able to, all you can do in that situation is just hold on for as long as you can to that person and, do that wild typhoon that is Hoyt in his criminal life. It's like, all you can do is just hold on to him, be there for them and love them, despite the complications. So it's really sad. I mean, first and foremost, that Sadie never got an opportunity to actually know her dad. And once again, it's just like, I think that Sadie's mom never gave Hoyt a chance. She took an out of context conversation, which was very, like I said, Hoyt could have still easily been that person, but even Cordell was saying that I think he would have kind of stepped up to the plate if he knew that you were there, because she wanted to know, like, did Hoyt know about her? And it seemed like he did. He didn't know about her, and that's sad he died not knowing that. And I know, I don't know if that's a regret that Sadie's mom had, like, oh, I'm dying, never letting my daughter really know about her father. I mean, once again, she kind of took that to the grave. Sadie ended up taking a DNA test, and Hoyt's, DNA is in the system, obviously, because he's got a criminal record and stuff. He's been to jail, but it's like she kind of did that on her own, like after her mom passed. And then it makes it sad all around. Like I said, just like that that meeting all those years ago, because Jerry had no idea that that was Sadie's mom and what that meant. She just knew it was like someone looking for like someone that she knew that came there all the time, and just had no idea. Now in retrospect, you can end up piecing it all together. But yeah. But Cordell, and at the end of the day, Cordell and Sadie kind of struck a balance, because it turns out the guy she was avoiding at the bar when she was doing her performance is a guy she owed money to. I thought that's what was going to happen. Like, all right, she's there and she's going to end up helping that guy get the money. But like Cordell would stop the guy, but she'd get away with it. Like, right, I'm helping you out. I mean, Cordell is saying that he is going to kind of help her out, but it's like, right, I am going to try to approach you as both your dad's best friend, but also as a ranger. So we can kind of agree to do our best that, we will give each other the benefit of the doubt. So, because she's trying to say like, right, I might remind you of my dad, but it's like, I am not him. And it's like, yeah, but once again, it's just a whole lane of complicated feelings for both Jerry and Cordell. So we have that side of things. We have the Ben and Liam thing, because Ben wants to talk to a guy that he feels like is kind of, had forged some wine stuff, and was selling wine that wasn't what was labeled as, like, oh, this is a 91. It's like, it's a 2010. And Liam couldn't help but get involved. But I love the whole like, to be fair, that wasn't lawyer stuff. That was just overprotective boyfriend stuff. But it ended up getting Cassie and Trey involved, which they are definitely like I think they had time apart, and it's like, right, they're definitely in a gooder place, better place now, and they're actually willing to hang out. I thought we were probably going to have more of an issue of that transpiring this episode, but once again, it's been 2 weeks for them to kind of sit on stuff, and I think despite their awkwardness of where we left them off at the end of last episode, I do believe what Trey said before, like, right, the guilt I'm feeling. And Cass tried to talk and was like, hey, like, are you doing good? He's like, yeah, I'm working through it in my own way. She's like, you saved so many lives. He's like, yeah, but for me, 7 people are dead because of me. So because of my misstep, like, those 7 deaths are still on me, and he's trying to figure that out. And he's been trying to figure that out this entire time, ever since the bomb went off. He's been racking his mind with all of this. So they ended up helping Ben with the whole pretending to be, we're here for some very unique wines, and it turns out the guy is forging the labels to them, because there was like some money issue. So there was some issue, and he didn't know how to bring it up to his partner, so he's been forging these, and but it's like, right, we will be basically making you give a refund to all your customers, including Ben, and we'll come back in like a week to see, like, if it's all kind of taken care of. And the guy's like, how do I even tell my partner? And in that moment, like, Trey touches his shoulder and is like, hey man, like, all you have to do is have faith that they're going to have your back like they always do, like you have theirs. And he kind of looks to Cassie, because obviously that was a big, a conversation about the whole Kevin thing. It was like, oh, you didn't have my back, you're supposed to have my back. So them kind of working through that. And once again, they spent these 2 weeks probably working on it, just so much left unsaid between them. And this, because I thought we'd probably lean into a little bit more of like, hey, I thought they were going to try and pretend like they were good, but there's still underlying issues they need to work out, so they weren't on good terms. Maybe by the end of the episode they would be. It's like, no, they were just decent on pretty good terms the entire episode. And I thought it was so interesting too, the whole Trey and Lana of it all, because I keep telling you, I keep bringing this up, I keep expecting Cassie and Trey to get together, but once again, I don't know if he's going to want to go down that route, considering, like, once again, like, Mickey being a ranger kind of had threw its wrenches in their relationship. But also it's like, well, the difference is he's now a ranger too, so that could change things. I don't know. That might just be like a legitimate great friendship, like kind of like a best friendship kind of forging between them. But it also feels like it could be more. So I don't know. Especially with him reaching out to Lana, which I'm like, it probably will be a situation of Lana gets found out by the rest of the. I could definitely see that, because it's like, oh, he tried to get in contact with her, call her, got a voicemail. I mean, that might be me reading too much into it, but it gave me a sinking feeling, like, are we going to find out, like, either Lana's up to some, I think she's going to be like, no, like, she's wanting to be away from all of that, so I think the remnants of Grey Flag might have gotten to her, and they might even eventually come after Trey, because they are the 2 biggest traitors, so that could end up being a story beat that we kind of deal with, so. Kind of circling back a little bit, we have the whole situation with finishing up the Ben and Liam stuff. I thought it was interesting where like Ben was like kind of like, yeah, he got his money back, but it's still a thing of, I asked you not to get involved in this and you did, which, you know, Liam like, right, I did kind of overstep that boundary. The fact is that because, you know, with everything with the horse rescue and everything, he kind of is trying to fix everything around him too, with how worried he is about starting his business and how much larger of a venture this is and has been so far and will continue to be. That is kind of like he's in trying to fix everything else around him mode and is kind of having disastrous effects. But, you know, Ben does forgive him. You know, it's like, oh, like, you know, how did you feel about the whole like overprotective boyfriend thing? It's like, oh, well, kind of, it's open to, you know, be discussed on like how I really feel about that. So there's also, we kind of got a little bit of an update with the Colton situation. I love this. Oh, he went to Vegas and immediately Cordell's like, okay, if he's going to Vegas because you're secretly getting married and he didn't come to me to ask for your hand in marriage, then we're going to have an issue. And even you get to, I think Abby was like, why would you go all the way to Vegas? We got like a good like spot out here. And she's like, Stella's like, no, it's not like that. Basically, he was like a runner up to like some chef thing, and the first place person ended up backing out, so he ended up getting the opportunity. So he went to go check that out. So we haven't seen Colton in the show for it's been quite a few episodes now. So I mean, just like Jerry was kind of going from the show for a while, and now we kind of have the context of what that's all about. Speaking of really quickly, too, I love that August had to stress, like, yeah, Uncle, also bring up, like, Uncle, I keep calling him Uncle Hoyt, but he wasn't actually my uncle, and it's like, all right, we see your ploy here, bro, you calm down. Dad is like, hey, you're awesome, you're pretty, you make awesome music, and you're kind of like family, but you're not family, so, like, we could date without it being weird. I mean, your dad and your Aunt Jerry made that happen, so I'm still not sure where they stand in all of this, either. Considering the aftermath of everything, I'm not quite sure. I don't know if it's a situation that that Walker's really going to be end up pushing. I doubt he will. So I'm just curious to see where things kind of go on that front, where they kind of like solidify things on that front. And another element to the episode is Larry and Kelly searching for houses. He wants something a little more like home and old bones, something we can fix up together. Kelly wants a full-blown like something nicer, kind of like a condo. It's like, we already did that, the family house thing. I want something for us. You know, it's like, oh, like, you know, give a thought about the bones of the house and stuff. And also we ultimately end up finding out Larry plans to propose to Kelly, but he's kind of worried because it's like, right, he made so many mistakes beforehand with their previous marriage, and you know, it's like, right, they're having their disagreements, you know, when it comes to the house situation. So it makes him kind of worried, like, what if she isn't too like, what if she ain't gonna want like a secondhand ring like this because it's his grandmother's ring, and it's his grandmother who chewed him out for getting divorced from Kelly, them getting divorced in the first place. But now it's like, yeah, well, she doesn't want a second hand, but Abby's like, that she loves you. You guys have been putting in the work. How about you reset the diamond you keep the band, so you get something, you keep the band, and it's like, right, something old, but resetting the diamond, getting something different. So, and you know, he ends up talking about the place he ended up finding. It's like, oh, this place is perfect because it represents us. That, yeah, we kind of might kind of fight and kind of disagree, but we're still works in progress, and we've kind of gone a long way, just like this house. This house is going through its renovations. Like, it's kind of the old bones that I wanted, but all the fixing has already been done. And Larry ends up proposing to her, and Kelly happily accepts, and I was like, that's beautiful. I'm glad love's kind of springing in the air. Now, once again, you know, got a solidified relationship there. August has been figuring out his love life situation for a while. Liam and Ben are good. Once again, what ends up being the Cassie and Trey thing, I don't know. And then there's the, I mean, obviously Abby and Bonham and Stella and Colton, but one of the biggest question marks being, like I brought up before, where is Cordell and like Jerry? Where does that situation currently stand? So, like I said, I'm so fascinated to see what next episode is will determine a lot about what the season finale is going to be, because it just feels so weird for it just to be so soon. Like it feels like this season should be longer than what it is. Once again, not unless I'm reading the wrong episode length numbers, but the last episode I checked and it said 18, but sometimes that stuff is wrong. So we'll see what next episode is all about, what that potentially sets up for the season finale maybe. So, but really that's all I wanted to talk about. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and good